Hey guys, in this video, I'm gonna talk about how to set goals for the new year. And since I was a data engineer at a FAANG company, I'm gonna kind of approach it from that perspective. And I know there's like a ton of videos out there about how to set goals for the new year. And we all know that they should be specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time-bound, or a SMART goal. But I'm gonna go more into detail about each of those things. And through the video, I'm gonna explain how these goal setting points really tie in nicely with this app I'm building called Boost, which is specifically meant for helping you achieve your goals. So let's get into it. So when you sit down to write your goals, the first thing that you're gonna come up with is like, okay, what are my goals gonna be? And for this, the best piece of advice that I could give is to think about who you want to be. Because the goals that you take on means that you're taking on a certain role in life. Like if you have a goal to make a lot of money, that means that the role that you're taking on is someone that works a lot.
No one should put this many hours into work.
Or gets really lucky somehow, and those roles typically come with specific tasks that they do day in and day out. Another example is if you want to be a software engineer. The things you're going to be doing day in and day out is coding, talking to other people, communicating about what the software should be like. So know that you're probably going to have to do these things if you set that goal. In other words, don't set a goal if you're not happy about what the role is that is required to achieve that goal. And finally, another thing about roles that I want to stress is when you take on this goal, you're gonna want to develop and build habits. And those habits should get you one step further toward achieving the main goal. That'll make achieving the goal easier because the tasks that you do day in and day out will just come naturally if you build it into a habit. There's a quote from James Clear's book called Atomic Habits that's something like, every action you take is one vote in the direction of the person that you want to be. And so I really like that. Okay, I'm turning this light off so it looks better. Okay, maybe that will make it better. Very professional video. The second point I want to bring up is making your goal measurable. And this is super important, especially coming from me as a data engineer. We like to measure everything. So obviously your goal, you set a goal, you take on the responsibility of the role that you're gonna take on to achieve that goal. You need to think about how you're gonna measure it. Going back to the data engineer thing, I worked at a tech company, and at this company, we set goals, right? And so the reason I'm mentioning this is because these are literally proven methods to set out and achieve goals. There's been a ton of money and resources put into how these companies are organized and how they function. And so if these methods didn't work, then those companies would not be successful. That said, companies are a little bit different from individuals, so just keep that in mind. So at a lot of tech companies, they'll have two different types of goals. One is a ship goal and one is a metric goal. So a ship goal is that you're just gonna build a product or do something and you're gonna ship it out to the public for people to use. And in theory, you don't really care what metrics go up or down, you just wanna do something. In a personal goal example, this might be like, I want to buy a house. Like you can't really measure whether you buy a house or not. It's just like, it's a binary thing. You either do it or you don't do it. And then the other type of goal is a metric goal. And so these are the goals that you prefer because then you can track them and see if you're on progress to achieving that goal. Also, if you fall short of the initial number goal, or metric goal, then you can at least say that you made a ton of progress. And an example of this is, say you want to buy a house, but that would be a ship goal. Maybe you should think about, okay, I want to save up $200,000 for a down payment on a house, because that's really what's important. And then say you save $150,000 for a down payment on a house. I know this is a very expensive house. It's probably a Bay Area house, or yeah, you can basically track your progress. So you picked your measurable goal. Let's just keep going with the example of saving a down payment for a house. We call that number the top line metric. So that is the most important number that you're tracking, the one that you keep in your head every day, and it's always on the top of your mind and the top of your charts and everything like that. Now, in order to achieve that top line metric or increase it, if that's your goal, you wanna have sub goals or sub tasks. And in the case of personal goals, I like to look at these as habits. So for saving for a house, your habits could be saving a certain amount out of each paycheck every 2 weeks. That's something that you do over and over repeatedly to achieve your top line metric goal. Another habit could be obviously going to work every day so you don't lose your job, maybe waking up early, the day-to-day tasks that are going to get you to that top line goal. And so you might wonder, how do I know if the habits that I'm building are actually gonna take me and get me to my goal in the time that I've set to achieve it? And that's where you'll run little experiments, which I'll talk about in the next section. And then the third thing that you want to keep in mind, so you have your top line metric, your habit goals. The third thing is some guardrail metrics or some guardrails. And these are just things to watch out for as you are working your way towards your top line goal. You know, a guardrail metric might be, okay, I don't want to take on a bunch of stress from work and give up all the pleasurable things in my life, the things that make me happy, just to achieve this top line metric. And these are pretty important. I saw this quote today actually that was like, does the guy who's driving the Mercedes to a job he hates or she hates really understand success? Like, you want to live a happy life. You don't want to just achieve metric goals all the time and let everything else fall by the wayside. And so the experiments can actually help you discover if these habits and top line metrics are going to work out and fit with your life. And so my question always is, like, how do I know if my goals that I'm setting are realistic? Like, is it realistic for me to expect to save up $200,000 for a down payment on a house? This section will help you discover that. So first of all, you don't want to set too many goals, because if you set too many, you have to juggle them around and you just can't keep a lot of stuff in your head at one time. So my rule of thumb here is just to set no more than 3 top line metrics at a time. You can do like 3 to 5, I think you'll be okay, but I would just do 3. Another aspect to dealing with, is the goal realistic or not, is the time that you allot yourself or allow yourself to reach that goal. So if I'm saving up for a down payment on a house, I want to start on January 1st of 2020. Maybe my goal is to achieve that by December 31st, the last day of the year. My recommendation actually is to set shorter period goals, because they're more manageable and they're also more realistic, because you don't necessarily know what your life is going to be like in 6 months or 9 months. The closer it is to the present day, the more sure you can be about whether or not you can actually achieve that goal, because you know that you're not going to, like, your situation is going to change that much. The further you go out, maybe some pandemic will happen and you have to switch jobs or something like that. Who knows? So shorter time periods is better. And so the third point on this topic of the goal being realistic is, you kind of want to feel that like, I can do this. Like, I can do this, because you want to believe that you can achieve your goal. And if you don't believe it, you might achieve it, but you're more likely to get started and keep going if you really genuinely believe that you can achieve this. And so how do you know that? That's where the experiments come in. This is my favorite part. So story time. I, like many people, wanted to grow my Instagram. So I wanted to grow the number of followers that I had. By the way, go follow me, Boost Productivity Jake, all one word. Link in bio, link here. And so I set out, I was like, okay, you can kind of start monetizing your Instagram around 10,000 or more followers. So I set this shorter, smaller goal to achieve 2,022 followers by the year 2022. 2022. So I started posting, and I had these habit goals of posting daily, posting reels, posting stories. So I basically tracked my progress for that 2-month period, and I saw that I can grow from basically like 400 or 500 followers to 2,000 followers in the span of 2 months. So that experiment gave me the confidence to say, okay, in another 2 months, my goal is to grow another 2,000 followers. So if I keep doing those daily habits, I can probably expect somewhat similar results. And tech companies do this all the time. This is how a lot of companies decide which products to ship, because they run an experiment to see if that new feature or that new product will help them achieve their goal. And if it does on that small subset of users, then they'll ship it to everyone. So my advice here, set your top line metric, and then the things that you want to do day in and day out to achieve that. Run a small experiment, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, to see, first of all, if you even like doing those things, and then also if doing those things will actually help you achieve your goal. If that's the case, then set a bigger goal based on the results of your small experiment. Okay, so that leads me to the fourth point. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that point is how you want to track your progress. So you've got your top line metrics, you got your tasks that you want to do every day. And so maybe now you're ready to run an experiment. So you want to track your progress while you're running that experiment. So there's this concept of a scoreboard. And I learned about it from a video by Tina, Study with Tina, who is awesome. I wish she would connect with me, but you know, I'm just a humble 50 subscriber YouTube account. I can't expect much at this point. But yeah, she's super cool. She goes over over this scoreboard idea, which I think she got from a book, I'm not sure. But the idea is you just have one number and that is your scoreboard. So let's take the example of growing your Instagram account. That number would be your number of followers. That's the thing that you focus on. And so that number obviously is pretty easy to track because it's always there, but you do want to track it daily. So that way you can see your progress over time to kind of extrapolate or predict your trend and how fast you're growing. So you could use a spreadsheet, or you could use an app specifically meant for tracking goals, which is the Boost productivity app that I built. It's available on iOS and Android. Check the link in the description. So in this app, you can set a goal that you want to achieve and then basically just log your progress each day.
Wow, right?
And then see a chart to see if you're on track or not.
Wow, flippers and all, wow. Wow. Wow.
So this is kind of like Study with Tina's scoreboard method. It's just a little bit easier, more concise, and it's on your phone and easily accessible, so it'll be on top of your mind more often. And so one of the biggest reasons that you want to track your progress is so that you can review your progress periodically. And the point of this is to make sure that the habits that you're doing every day are actually going to help you reach your goal. And if they're not, then you need to basically debug this issue. So figure out what's going wrong, why the tasks that you're doing are not actually helping you achieve your goal. Say you want to grow on Instagram and you're posting every day, but the posting is not bringing in followers. You may need to change up the quality of your posts, or you may need to switch to a different niche. But that said, one important thing here to remember is that a lot of growth nowadays is not linear. Meaning things don't grow in a straight line how we might expect it to. So say you're growing your Instagram and you're getting like 1 follower per day. That kind of makes sense and is expected when you're just starting out. But once you get like over 1,000 followers, then the likelihood of people to follow you is going to be a lot greater just because they see that you have this reputation. And so then you will probably grow a little bit faster than 1 follower per day. Maybe it's going to be like 5 followers per day. So instead of a linear growth like this, a straight line, it'll probably be more something like this, which is like exponential or quadratic growth, some number like that, which is awesome, right? But yeah, it's kind of like this network effect, ideally, right? That's what you want. And so actually, this is kind of a humble brag, I guess, but I set my goal to reach basically 2,000 followers by the end of the year. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it because I was growing so slowly. But then all of a sudden, once I passed this certain threshold, my growth like went up a lot higher or quicker. And then by the end of the year, I have like almost 9,000 followers on Instagram. And most of those followers came in the last segment of that period. And then finally, the 5th point that I want to make is the idea of accountability. A lot of times we'll set goals and we just lose track of them, or we lose sight of them, we forget about them. But if we have a system of accountability to kind of keep us held to those goals, then we're thinking about them more often. We don't want to let our friends down who we told about these goals. And most of all, we want to be accountable to ourselves, right? So if we set out to do something, we actually want to stick with it and do our best to achieve it. So there's lots of different ways to keep yourself accountable. One of the best ones is social accountability. And so that's basically just telling your friends that you're setting out to achieve this goal. Maybe they're trying to achieve a really similar goal and you guys can track your progress together. In the Boost Habit Tracker app, you can actually make your goals public so people can see whether or not you're doing the day-to-day tasks that are required to get you to your goal. And then they can also see like your top line metric to whether or not you're on track to achieve it. I think that's super important and helpful. When I set out to achieve my Instagram follower goal, I had a lot of pressure to actually get followers because I knew that my friends who were rooting for me, they could see my follower count. And if I wasn't posting every day and doing the things that I said I was going to do, then that follower count wouldn't grow and they would see that. Another YouTuber that comes to mind is Thomas Frank, who's also a productivity YouTuber. And he has a couple things that I've seen for accountability. One is that he has a public bucket list. So you can literally go on his website and see all of the bucket list items that he wants to do. He had a system that he built where he had a goal of waking up early. And if he didn't wake up on time, it would automatically send a tweet that says like, I'm being lazy or something. So that everyone could see that. So he had a lot of incentive to wake up and then cancel that out, so that that tweet didn't automatically go out and like embarrass him. I thought that was pretty cool. And so basically, if your friends can see your goals and your progress toward them, not only can you use that as social accountability, but you can also find people who have similar goals and connect with them. And that could be like a new relationship based around that goal. And those kind of relationships are really powerful and fulfilling, because you can hold each other accountable, you can talk to each other about the goals, the ups and downs. Importantly, you can learn from each other about what you might be doing right or wrong and how to modify the daily tasks that you do to achieve your goal maybe quicker. So I think accountability is one of the most important parts to achieving goals. And so with all that said, just to kind of wrap it up, another important thing that I want to go back to is that topic of guardrail metrics. Like, don't beat yourself up if you're not achieving your goals. Even if you set small goals and you're doing the task and you don't achieve it, or maybe you're not doing the task, don't beat yourself up because you didn't achieve it the first time or the second time or even the 100th time. The best thing you can do is to step back, look at the big picture, kind of reevaluate if this is something that you really want to achieve. If it is, debug the issue, figure out what's going wrong, and then iterate on your process to kind of do something that's more effective. Whether that's more accountability, lowering the goal to a lower bar, which is fine. But if you're going for a goal and it's affecting your mental health or your relationships with other people that you care about, that is not good, because that means you're taking on a role with responsibilities that don't really align with how you want to be in life. You don't want to just spend every day grinding and not being happy, basically. So keep that in mind. And with that, hopefully you guys got something out of this video. Remember to follow me on Instagram, click like if you got anything out of this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, download my app. Just keep in mind that it's pretty new. I'm the only one working on it. So send me some feedback. I love getting feedback about how to improve and just make it more effective, whether it's through my content or through the app, in helping you achieve your goals, which is why I'm super excited about this new year. All right, so let's get it. See you guys.